New employee Eric mistook me for a suspicious person and threw coffee at me. Whoa, what are you doing? Luckily, the coffee wasn't too hot, so there was no risk of burns, but my upper body was drenched in coffee. The pure white work clothes I was wearing turned brown. When I glared at Eric, he just smiled smugly.
Your work clothes look nicely dyed, don't they?
I had reached my limit with Eric, who called me a suspicious person and threw coffee at me. Trying to smooth things over and bowing my head now felt foolish. Tell the president all contracts with our 30 group companies are null and void.
Huh?
My name is Ken Kirkland, 51 years old. I'm the CEO of a specialty store that sells outdoor, sports, rain gear, and professional work clothes. Our store concept is to offer new outdoor products that combine functionality and low prices, and we have stores all over the country. Today, I came to negotiate with a company to propose a collaboration product plan with an apparel brand. If we collaborate with a popular brand, our recognition among younger people will increase and demand will rise. I was quite confident about this business meeting because I believed it would be a good deal for them as well. I brought several prototypes for the meeting and wore one of the sample work clothes to the meeting partner's company. I planned to show them the prototype in action and smoothly proceed with the presentation. Although I considered changing after arriving at the company, I felt awkward about borrowing a changing room or changing during the meeting. After arriving at the company and completing the reception procedures, I headed to the meeting room. I had visited here several times before and was familiar with the location of the meeting room since I knew the meeting partner. Checking my watch, I saw it was still early for the appointment, so I decided to go to the nearest restroom from the meeting room to check my appearance and ensure the prototype I was wearing was clean. I checked my entire body in the restroom mirror. Among the prototypes were highly functional, gender-neutral outdoor items with attention to design, which I was particularly confident about this time. The color variations were also abundant, and I enjoyed the feel and material of the pure white work clothes I was holding. The work clothes, with excellent stretchability and breathability, were popular items in my store. They were made from carefully selected materials to ensure comfort and good wearability. Seeing the result of months of brainstorming and trial and error with my employees taking shape felt like the reward for all our efforts. After confirming that the prototype was clean, I left the restroom. Then, I bumped into a young male employee at the corner of the hallway. Oops, sorry about that. Are you okay? The young employee was holding a cup of coffee, so I worried it might have spilled. A quick glance showed that, fortunately, no coffee had spilled, which relieved me. As I bowed and tried to pass by, the young employee stopped me for some reason.
Wait a minute. Hey, you old man.
Old man? I was startled to be called old man, especially at a client company. When I turned around, the young employee was glaring at me with a displeased look. Did he get angry because we bumped into each other? Thinking so, I tried to apologize again. Did I hit you somewhere? Sorry for not paying attention.
That's not it, old man. Which company are you from?
Huh? Surprised by the unexpected question, I quickly answered. I came here today for a business meeting.
Oh,
The young employee sighed exaggeratedly. Looking closely, I saw an employee badge around his neck that read, Eric Anderson.
what kind of lame work clothes company are you from? Are you a suspicious person or a spy from a rival company?
Excuse me? I was so shocked that I let out a sound. But being mistaken for a suspicious person by this guy named Eric was less shocking than having my pride and joy. The work clothes insulted. No, I'm definitely not a suspicious person. I came here for a business meeting, I hurriedly explained, but Eric continued to look at me with suspicion.
A business meeting? There's no way someone wearing such lame work clothes would come here.
What? Lame, you say? These are my pride and joy, combining functionality and design. Angered by his harsh words about my prized work clothes, I retorted, Eric just smirked mockingly.
I would never create such tasteless clothes. You're probably a spy from some rival company here to steal our ideas.
I told you, that's not true. Please believe me. No matter how many times I said it, Eric refused to believe me. He scrutinized my face and entire body.
An old man with no sense like you doesn't even deserve to enter this company. Do you even know what kind of place this is?
Of course, I knew that. This is an apparel brand that boasts annual sales of billions of dollars domestically. They create refined products every day with the concept of mass-producing clothes that suit everyone. Their stores are nationwide, and they have expanded overseas, making their clothes worn by people worldwide. Eric himself was wearing clothes made by this company from head to toe and seemed proud to be an employee here. So, do you also make clothes for this company? Trying not to upset him, I asked. Eric proudly began to talk.
That's right. I joined in April as a designer. I entered here to make a name for myself with the knowledge and design sense I cultivated in art school.
If he joined in April, he must be a recent graduate. His fearless attitude towards someone older might be due to his youth or just a lack of manners. That's a commendable ambition. Actually, I run an outdoor goods store. As I tried to explain my background, Eric interrupted me with his own story.
I'm gaining experience here to someday exhibit my clothes at international fashion shows. And eventually, I want to marry an international model and dress her in the clothes I make.
Eric was happily sharing his dreams. I hadn't intended to listen that far, but I thought his guard might be down, so I tried to slowly distance myself.
Besides, I have a professional designer as my mentor, so I'm going to become famous. Remember the name Eric Anderson.
Yeah, right. I'll remember your name. Well then, I'll be going now. I tried to slowly move away from Eric and leave the place. However, sensing that I was trying to escape, Eric quickly moved to block my path.
Hey, don't run away. You really are a suspicious person, aren't you? I won't let you escape.
Come, how can I make him understand I'm not suspicious? I was caught by a troublesome employee and held my head in my hands. Why do you suspect me so much? Just because my work clothes are unfamiliar, it's unfair to assume I'm a suspicious person.
Of course I should be suspecting you. This company is a world-renowned brand, and we never know when a rival company might steal our ideas. There was a news report about another apparel company suffering a data breach just recently.
I knew about that news. An employee from a rival company infiltrated as a spy and leaked confidential information from a famous apparel company. The spy was arrested, but Eric seemed to have become more cautious after seeing that news.
You're a spy hired by a rival company to steal our ideas, right? If you admit it, I won't call the police.
I keep telling you, that's not true. I'm Ken Kirkland. I'm the CEO of an outdoor goods store. I finally managed to tell him my name. Now Eric would surely realize who I am and calm down.
Ken Kirkland? Never heard of him. Sounds like the name of a guy who deals in professional work clothes. But you've got the wrong person, buddy.
No, that's me. If he knew about the store, he should certainly know my name as its owner. However, Eric just thought I was some old guy with the same name.
I've seen a photo of the guy, but was his face really like yours? I remember him looking a bit better.
Eric scrutinized my face with a furrowed brow. His rude behavior toward a stranger only increased my irritation. Listen, I've been thinking for a while now, but your attitude is quite inappropriate. Judging someone by their appearance and calling them suspicious or a spy is very disrespectful.
Well, it's your fault for getting misunderstood. Old man, you're suspicious because you're wearing those work clothes.
What an insolent guy. Despite my warning not to judge people by their appearance, Eric wouldn't listen. Moreover, he didn't recognize his fault and blamed others instead. You're still young, so it's better to be more straightforward. Admitting when you're wrong and apologizing immediately can make people see you in a better light and earn their trust. I'm really here for a business meeting, but I won't mention this incident to anyone higher up. I tried to reason with him as gently as I could, but it seemed to irritate him even more.
Don't preach to me, you suspicious person.
He glared at me and threw coffee at me. Whoa, what are you doing? Fortunately, the coffee wasn't too hot, so there was no risk of burns, but my upper body was drenched in coffee. The pure white work clothes I was wearing turned brown. When I glared at Eric, he just smiled smugly.
Your work clothes look nicely dyed, don't they?
Doing something like this is inexcusable as a human being. I couldn't believe he would do something so horrible as a working adult.
Look, you better wash that off quickly, or your shirt underneath will get stained too.
Eric mocked me as he looked at my soaked appearance. My patience with Eric, who called me a fake and threw coffee at me, had reached its limit. Trying to handle things peacefully now seemed foolish. Tell the president all contracts with our 30 group companies are null and void.
Huh?
I told Eric.
What are you suddenly saying? Do you think that will scare me into submission?
Eric showed no fear and continued to display hostility towards me. In his case, not being intimidated by someone older wasn't bravery, but simple rudeness. I've told you repeatedly, I came here for a business meeting about collaboration products. We've had multiple transactions before, so our company is actually a valued client of yours. I tried to calm him down without raising my voice. However, Eric still treated me like a suspicious person and wouldn't listen properly. I showed Eric the work clothes stained with coffee. What you did to me is unacceptable. Throwing water alone can be considered assault, and if I had been burned, the charges would be more severe. You can understand why I might want to terminate contracts with the subsidiaries related to us, right? When I glared at Eric, he wavered slightly, but remained aggressive, refusing to show any weakness. I am the CEO of an outdoor goods company, and I also own about 30 subsidiaries.
If you insist you're the CEO, then show me some proof. Unless you have concrete evidence, I'm not apologizing.
Eric demanded evidence from me. I see. So you'll believe me if I show proof. But even if you apologize after seeing the proof, it will be too late. As I said this, I took my business card out of my pocket and handed it to Eric. I run an outdoor goods store called Scottman Shop. Have you heard of it? Eric's eyes widened as he took my card.
The CEO of that famous outdoor goods store with commercials airing frequently all over the country? You're really that guy?
Eric mumbled, his voice trembling. Oh, you've seen our commercials? It's an honor to have a famous brand's employee recognize us. The more I smiled, the more Eric's expression stiffened and turned pale. I brought this work clothes as a sample. My prized work is now soaked in coffee. Can you take responsibility for that, Eric?
Oh,
Eric finally realized I was the CEO of a valued client company and looked flustered. I don't mind that you suspected me out of company loyalty. If I were truly a suspicious person, you'd be a hero. But you didn't listen to what I had to say and just assumed I was suspicious. This time, I think you're at fault.
At fault?
You insulted me and threw coffee at me. Even as a new employee, you should understand that this can't be resolved with just a written apology. I reprimanded Eric in a stern tone. If one of my subordinates had done the same thing as Eric, I'd make them pay a hefty compensation and apologize to the victim, then turn them over to the police. And I'd have to step down as CEO to truly atone. It's not about whether the coffee can be washed out or whether it will dry without a problem. If you hurt someone physically or emotionally, it's already a serious offense. This has become an issue beyond just you and me. Since it happened in the company, I must report it to your superiors and the CEO. At the mention of his superiors and the CEO, Eric was at a loss for words and visibly distressed. I think you're a talented designer, but you lack the awareness of a professional. I looked at Eric coldly. If you apologize now, I can still forgive you. I can tell your superiors that the coffee spill happened accidentally when we bumped into each other at the corner. and you'll get off without any punishment. If you sincerely apologize to me, we can resolve this matter amicably. I offered Eric a chance to apologize. Despite his insults, he was still a young man fresh out of college. If he apologized now and reflected on his actions, it wouldn't affect his future. I silently prayed that Eric would apologize.
Well, I was just trying to get rid of a suspicious person. What's wrong with being cautious about suspicious people?
Contrary to my hopes, Eric justified his actions.
That business card, you probably picked it up somewhere to impersonate someone. I almost fell for it because you look similar. But I'm not fooled anymore.
Eric shook off his unease and showed hostility towards me again. I was astonished that Eric chose not to apologize. Are you really not going to apologize for what you did?
Enough. I did what I thought was right.
I see. That's unfortunate. If he doesn't believe I'm the CEO, so be it. At that moment, I remembered my business partner. The scheduled time for the meeting had long passed. Since I had received a visitor's pass at reception, it should be clear that I hadn't left the premises. My business partner might be looking for me. I decided to ignore Eric and look for my business partner. I don't have time to talk with you any longer. I need to find my business partner.
Hey, wait. Where do you think you're going? You can't fool me with such a lame excuse.
As I tried to pass by Eric, he grabbed my arm, blocking my way. Let go. If you continue to act violently, you'll be committing even more offenses. I struggled to free my arm. However, Eric, being a young man in his 20s, was physically stronger. While I was grappling with Eric, I heard footsteps running toward us from the other end of the hallway. Looking in that direction, I saw my business partner, Sean Miller, rushing towards us.
Ken, what's going on here? I searched the entire building when I found the meeting room empty.
Sean, relieved to see me, caught his breath. I'm sorry for being late to the meeting. I arrived early and went to use the restroom first. As I said this, I glanced at Eric. For some reason, he was trembling at the sight of Sean.
Why is Eric here?
Sean, the thing is, well,
Eric's previous bravado vanished, and he started trembling like a newborn kitten. Sean, a highly esteemed designer in the apparel industry and today's business partner, had an illustrious career, including having his clothes featured in prestigious international exhibitions. His designs were so popular that they often sold out. Knowing Eric's aspirations to become a designer, I thought he would revere Sean like a god. However, his fear puzzled me. Sean, noticing my confusion, stood next to Eric.
Oh, I'm his mentor and trainer. Though it's part of the newcomer training program, I'm teaching him at the request of his superior,
Sean said with a smile, patting Eric on the shoulder. Eric, in contrast, was pale and sweating profusely. His expression showed more fear than respect. To Eric, this situation must have been something he never wanted Sean to witness. If Sean found out everything, it would be more than just a reprimand.
So, what exactly happened here?
Sean pointed at my work clothes. The once pure white outfit was now stained with coffee, ruining it as a sample. I wasn't sure whether to tell Sean about Eric's actions. I couldn't forgive Eric for missing his chance to apologize and not reflecting on his actions. Yet, Sean's unexpected arrival made my decision difficult. As I hesitated, Sean alternated his gaze between me and Eric.
Eric, can you explain what happened? Does that cup you're holding have anything to do with Ken's clothes?
Eric's eyes darted around nervously.
so the thing is,
Speak honestly.
Under Sean's stern gaze, Eric fumbled. Considering their ages and careers, it was clear Sean was someone Eric couldn't defy. I watched quietly, hoping Eric would confess the truth to someone he seemingly respected.
well, we just happened to bump into each other in the hallway, and the coffee I was holding spilled on him.
Did you properly apologize to Ken?
I sort of did.
I was speechless at Eric's blatant lie. even to someone he supposedly respected.
Ken, is Eric's story true?
Sean turned to me, with Eric staring at me from behind him, pleading with his eyes not to reveal the truth. I couldn't believe why I should cover for him, and I chuckled in disbelief. Eric's story is a mix of truth and lies.
What do you mean?
Sean's eyebrows twitched in reaction. It's true we bumped into each other at the corner, but he poured coffee on me deliberately. He treated me as a suspicious person and threw the coffee intentionally.
Don't say that.
Eric, looking flustered, waved his arms frantically. Sean, listening to my explanation, glared at Eric with an expressionless face.
I told you to speak honestly, didn't I? And yet you lied?
Well,
Under Sean's glare, Eric shrank back. I also urged him to apologize, but he refused to acknowledge his actions. When I backed up my claim, Sean's frown deepened.
I keep telling you to stop covering up and hiding your mistakes.
Sean's voice thundered, and Eric shuddered. He's usually so gentle, but when he's angry, he's terrifying. From Sean's words, it seemed Eric often concealed his mistakes at work too, probably out of fear of being reprimanded, but also because he didn't want others to know about his failures.
I'm sorry.
Finally, I heard an apology from Eric.
Not to me. Apologize to Ken.
I'm very sorry.
Prompted by Sean, Eric apologized to me. Hearing his apology at last, I sighed in exhaustion.
Ken, I deeply apologize for my subordinate's rudeness. We'll compensate for your clothes. Are you hurt anywhere?
Sean also apologized to me. He was genuinely concerned about my well-being. Sean must have a tough time managing a troublesome newbie like Eric. I sympathized. The coffee was warm when it was poured on me, so I don't think I got burned. But just to be safe, I'll visit a hospital. Hearing that I wasn't in pain, Sean sighed in relief, but bowed his head again.
We will cover all medical expenses. This is entirely due to my lack of proper training. I deeply apologize.
No, you are not at fault at all. Besides, I have something I would love to show you. Both Sean and Eric looked puzzled. I turned up the sleeve of my coffee-stained work clothes to show them. I intended to present this sample in today's meeting. Look closely. This workwear is designed so that nothing seeps through to the lining, and it absorbs and neutralizes odors. Sean touched the workwear and brought it closer to his nose.
You're right. There's no coffee smell at all. The wet areas are dry to the touch and not uncomfortable. And since the lining is unaffected, there's no coffee stain on the shirt underneath.
Exactly. Plus, this workwear is made from a wrinkle-resistant material, so it stays looking new even after washing. It's one of our company's pride and joy.
That's amazing.
Sean praised the sample enthusiastically. Hearing those words made coming here worthwhile.
Who would wear such lame work clothes?
As we were getting excited, Eric sulked and pouted. I put my heart into making clothes if even one person needs them. Have you ever created clothes with the wearer's feelings in mind, Eric?
Don't underestimate designers. I'm here to create more sophisticated clothes.
When Eric shouted this, Sean glared at him with a fierce expression.
Sophisticated clothes? You ignore client requests and impose your immature sense on them. The resulting products are all substandard. Do you know how many times I've had to apologize to angry clients because of you?
Eric whimpered under Sean's furious gaze.
I thought you were someone who never listened during training, but I never expected you to cause such a disgraceful incident. I'll report this to the CO and HR to decide your punishment.
No, please. Forgive me. I worked so hard to join this company because I admired you. I don't want it to end here.
Eric pleaded with Sean, on the verge of tears, but Sean showed no sympathy and didn't listen. I approached the tearful Eric and said, "Thanks for proving how great this workwear is. Thanks to you pouring coffee on it. Sean gave it high marks.
I'm sorry.
Eric, sobbing like a child, collapsed to the floor. Later, Eric's company apologized and offered substantial compensation. I told them to terminate the contract with Eric, but both Sean and the company handled the situation sincerely. Therefore, I decided to sue Eric for assault, but chose to continue the business relationship without canceling any contracts. Eric was fined $3,000 for the assault charge. However, due to his disrespectful actions towards a valued client, he was promptly fired from the company. This incident was deemed an egregious act that severely damaged the company's reputation, leading the CEO and HR to unanimously decide on his dismissal. Sean informed me that while Eric was highly confident in his design sense, he also had a tendency to look down on others. During the company entry tests, he even scoffed at the portfolios of other recent graduates, causing minor arguments. Such behavior had been a constant problem, causing headaches for his superiors and colleagues. Regardless of how exceptional one's design skills are, working for a company requires a sense of responsibility towards that company's reputation. Eric prioritized his sense over his role as an employee, ultimately jeopardizing his future. Even if he tries to succeed as a freelance designer, his attitude will likely prevent him from securing work. His dream of making it big internationally now seemed even more distant. A month after the incident, I had a follow-up meeting with Sean. The quality of the workwear that had coffee spilled on it impressed him and other designers, gaining high praise along with other samples. As a result, the collaboration product idea came to fruition, and a contract was signed. The project proceeded smoothly, and the products were launched in shops nationwide. The items quickly became popular and sold out, marking a significant success. Sean expressed his desire to continue collaborating, making the work even more enjoyable. We also received collaboration offers from other companies, ensuring continued growth and success for